almost Friday 6. Hey, as my badly damaged jazz comes in for an intro, what else should you do with a War for Cybertron figure besides destroy it? Here we are, we're going to take a look at Transformers Prime Wheeljack. Got this at my local Meijer for $10. As of today, that sale is still good, so if you live by a Meijer, check them out. You can get the whole Bruticus for 50 bucks. You can see nice artwork on the front of the box. It comes with a DVD, which is a full-size disc, real nice. The back's got some more artwork, and I've been out the last 2 weeks because I've been trying to upload some videos, and every time I try to upload anything to the Pop Culture Network, I just get this white noise, or it's just like a, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what's going on, so I'm trying to fix that. This is the farthest I've gotten with recording a video, and wait, you guys, no!
Whoa, what's going on? Hey, woo, hey everybody, Formers Friday. I'll take it from here, Cordy, don't worry about it. You know, when Corticon said he was going to be talking about Wheeljack, I just knew I had to have something to do with this episode. Because you see, Wheeljack is probably one of my favorite characters of all time from Transformers. I've always thought he was super cool. In the original cartoon, when his face would light up when he was talking, I was just like, yeah, man, that dude's awesome. And when I saw the Transformers Prime version of, you know, the car, I just had to buy it. I'm like, I gotta have that Transformer. So we're going to talk about that today. But what makes Wheeljack a little bit cooler in the Transformers Prime universe is, of course, Dead End. See, they made Dead End, this Disco Skeletor version of Wheeljack. So we're going to be taking a look at both of those. Wait, what? I'm sorry. Huh? There's some of you that don't know what I mean by Disco Skeletor? Okay. Let's take a trip back in the Wayback Machine here for just a moment. In the early 2000s, they relaunched He-Man, new cartoon on Cartoon Network, and it was, you know, aimed more for an older crowd. It had kind of like this anime-style influence to it a little bit, and of course, it had a new toy line. Toy line went out, and it did okay, and they had some issues there, but they had some really cool, good-looking figures. And then at some point in production, for absolutely no discernible reason whatsoever, somebody said, hey, let's re-release Skeletor and put him in a whole bunch of funky colors. So, in fact, this Skeletor has been known throughout the years. Sometimes they call him Rave Skeletor, Acid Trip Skeletor, but for me, he's Disco Skeletor. And I actually love this guy. The color combination is just so goofy and crazy. You've got gold, you've got orange, you've got purple. It's just wild and zany. And so, of course, when I saw this version of Dead End, if you know, compare Dead End and Wheeljack, he really is the Disco Skeletor version of Wheeljack. So, when I saw that Corticon was doing the show, I was like, no, you're not doing the show, I am. Because we're taking a look at Wheeljack and the Disco Skeletor version of him, Dead End. Now, I'm not going to claim to be the greatest Transformers expert of all time. You guys know better than that. But I will say that I have always liked Wheeljack, even when I was a little kid. The original cartoon version of him was great. So, this toy actually makes me pretty happy and nostalgic for being a kid. And even though it's not the same car it was when I was a kid, it's still close enough that it makes me happy. Now, I'm not a car buff. I can't tell you what car this is supposed to be. I don't know if this is even modeled after any sort of real car. But I can tell you it looks cool. And I like the way it looks on the shelf. And overall, the design is what they call the folded paper design of automobiles. But I like it. It's stylized, and it works. And from what I've seen of the Transformers Prime cartoon, it's a pretty good representation of how he looks on TV. So overall, I have to say, he does a good job of looking like Wheeljack, even though he's not the Wheeljack I grew up with. Now, for being a car in his alt mode, he does roll around just fine, no problems. The little plastic wheels, instead of being rubber, don't really seem to make a difference. And on the bottom, you can see here, his swords that he carries around can actually be stuck onto the bottom to get him out of the way. They kind of look like exhaust pipes or something, I guess, but they don't get in the way at all. He still rolls just fine having his swords locked in the bottom, which is nice, and means I'm less likely to lose them in the long run. Now the swords can be mounted on the front of the car like this, which kind of look like tusks and kind of look silly. You can still roll around just fine, but I don't know, is he supposed to look like the front of Santa's sleigh? I'm not sure what the point of that is, but there they go. I guess he can crash into other cars and just slice them up with his sword teeth if he really wanted to. But he does have holes on the side back here, and you can put the swords on, and they actually look pretty aerodynamic and cool. And I guess that's a little more if he were to be in gladiator combat. I guess he would drive up next to the other guys and smash them. Overall, it just goes right along with the curve of the body design of the car, and it fits really well. And if you want to, you can kind of spin them around like this so they're sticking out the back, and now it's almost like they're motion lines for how fast he's driving down the road. So if you're a little kid and you've got this, your imagination can run wild. And if you're a grown-up kid like me, well, you know. So what about the other guy, Dead End? Well, he's basically the exact same thing. He's painted a little differently, so his deco makes him stand out, and some of the design elements of the car look a little different because of the way they're accented by his paint job. For instance, the headlights on Wheeljack are just white, the same as his hood, whereas here they have green to make them stand out. So it almost looks like a different element in the design of the car, even though it's the exact same mold. And of course, he does have that translucent green glass as part of his canopy, and so his windshield does make him stand out as different. And again, I'm not sure why they chose these colors, why it's a Wheeljack with these funky colors, but it does remind me of Disco Skeletor, and that's just awesome with me. His swords snap in the bottom just the same, except they have the bright green blades. So again, they match the funky color aesthetic, and he can roll just fine with them mounted on the bottom. You can put them out as the tusks, just same as before, and they still serve as little function as they did in the other version of him. Basically, everything I said about Wheeljack is the same with Dead End in his alt mode. Everything works exactly the same, everything's placed exactly the same. It really makes no difference if we're talking about Wheeljack or Dead End, except for that deco. So if the idea of having those funky green, orange, and yellow colors really bothers you, I guess you're going to hate Dead End. But overall, I love it. The only real difference that's visible in kind of the design thought process is the fact that on Dead End, he's got the Decepticon symbol showing back here. On Wheeljack, there's no Autobot symbol showing. So I guess Wheeljack really is a robot in disguise. He's really trying to hide the fact that he's one of these guys, whereas Dead End, I guess, he's showing his tats. He wants you to know its colors. Now, once we get into robot mode, you can see that there is a difference, and that is with the heads. Wheeljack and Dead End have the exact same bodies, but they have different heads here. Now, Wheeljack's head does look a lot like his G1 version, and that's kind of the point of the way they did him in the Prime cartoon. He does have the fins on the side of his head, and overall you can see his body is kind of a mix between that classic G1 bulky style and the Bayformers sleek type robot style that has become what Transformers have been known for the last few years. And I think it's a pretty good hybrid. Even though I prefer that kind of classic bulky style, this one works just fine for me. Even though the upper legs and the arms get that lean style to him, there's enough bulk and enough girth to him to make him look like he's a big, strong robot. And he's got enough points of articulation that you can really pose him and move him around. In fact, the only real drawback I see to the way he's designed, you can see from behind here. Some of the thicker parts of his body have been hollowed out. You can see that they have these holes here. And I guess that's just to save money, to not use as much plastic. Maybe it's better for the earth. I don't know. But it does make him look a little janky from the back. But from every other position, he looks pretty good. And as posable as he is, it's pretty nice to have around. Once again, everything I said about Wheeljack holds true for Dead End. He's the exact same figure, albeit with a different head, but all the same design choices are going to be there. So I guess really the only difference comes down again to the deco, and it does make it stand out a little differently. The green glass for the windshield does seem to stand out more than the blue that was on Wheeljack. I don't know why. Maybe the green just catches the eye a little bit better. But the yellow on the legs does catch more shadows in those holes that are in the back there. So you can see that there is that, square effect from the shadows hitting the yellow plastic. But again, overall, he's the same as Wheeljack. The only difference is there is a translucent green within his head that would light up if you put the light right above it. But otherwise, these guys are identical. But the added articulation that they have compared to some of the other figures is really nice. And besides, what other figures can remind you that it's fun to play at the YMCA? There you go. Good job, guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. Jazz hands. Flourish. In with the flourish. So if nothing else, we'll give them some credit for at least trying to find a way to incorporate the weapons into the vehicle mode. But, on most of Transformers Prime, when you try to work them in somehow, they just look kind of goofy. You got a gun sticking out of the guy's head, or a knife on the side, or these tusks that are just kind of ridiculous. But overall, you're well-sculpted, well-made figures. You can't go wrong. You can't complain. And, I gotta say, I'm starting to find some faith back in the Transformers line.
Transformers fans, today we're taking a look at the brand new Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Deluxe Wheeljack. And this is a brand new packaging, just like Soundwave's and Bumblebee's and Laserback, I think his name is. And this looks like the similar mold to the R&D line, but it's just a bunch of new, it just makes him look kind of Cybertronian, I guess, towards the Prime series. And now he comes with a new weapon. I don't know if he comes with the swords. I don't think he does, but we'll find out when we open him up. But it says this launching Falcon Spear, which is a brand new kind of weapon. You got Predaking on the packaging there. It says Transformers Prime Beast Hunters, and his name Wheeljack, of course. Come over to this side, see his tech specs and an image of him. The actual toy, it's not an image from the show, which is really different. Flip over the back here. It says Wheeljack, and again, a really small bio on him, which reads, this tough-as-nails outer space adventurer is newly equipped with enhanced beast hunting gear. And the reason why they're calling this weapon the Falcon Spear, I guess because they're just trying to implement some kind of animal of some sort to it, since this is the Beast Hunter series and we have the Predacons coming in. But there's a sports car mode, again, just kind of a remold of the original R&D one. And there's him in his robot mode. But let's open him up, guys, and see what he's all about. Alright, now taking a closer look at Beast Hunters Deluxe Wheeljack. This is my third Beast Hunters figure I'm reviewing. And again, very, very big disappointment. Out of all the three I picked up, out of Bumblebee, Soundwave, and this guy, I thought this guy was going to be the most promising out of them all. Because I really digged how this kind of looks. It's Cybertronian, kind of futuristic, and it kind of sticks to the original mold while just adding some battle damage really to it. Again, cheap plastic. Over and over and over again. He's got his disc here, which you can just push the handle forward, and it'll fire like so. I haven't quite figured out why yet, but this opens up. I don't know if that's supposed to be some kind of boomerang for him. But that is that, and you can just slide it back in. You will not be able to fire it with this folded in, so that's pretty much that. He has his weapon here. You could take that off. He can hold it in his hand, peg it on the roof, flip this out. It's supposed to be a disc spear, and that's that. You can flip these up. You can flip them outward like that, and put the weapon on. You can keep them kind of up. They don't really turn out, because if you do that, you're just going to pop that out like so. So that's that. Like I said, you can plug this right back in. And there's that. Now, he doesn't stay together too well like the other figures. It's just, those final adjustments I'm always talking about doing with all of my transformations, well, you can't really do them because every time you squeeze something together, something else comes apart, like the cockpit there or the hood. But anyways, let me just fix this to how we get it on the packaging. Now when you flip those, you're going to pry these shoulder pieces open. And also with him, he's the same exact transformation and everything as the original RID Wheeljack. So here's Beast Hunter's Deluxe Wheeljack, and then here's RID Deluxe Wheeljack, and you can see there's no real major differences here other than new molding. They're the same size, exactly. They even have the same accents. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but it's like kind of like a triangular piece of molding that wasn't painted. Same exact thing here. So they pretty much just added all these pieces on, threw some smudges of black on here, and pretty much remolded it, but made it just cheaper plastic. One of the things I'm noticing is he does have pegs on his feet and little things right there, so you could store the swords from your RID Wheeljack on him if you preferred this mold. I personally don't, though I do think he looks rather cool. I like it. I like this little, it just reminds me of some kind of time-traveling car, DeLorean of some sort, in futuristic Cybertronian terms, I suppose. But really, when it comes down to, you can, like I said, store the swords under there, and everything's the same. Same transformation, same everything. Same thing with the last two Beast Hunter figures I reviewed. So, without further ado, let's put Wheeljack from Beast Hunters and Wheeljack from the RID line in the respective robot modes. But anyways, same everything. Like I said, just some new plastic. The head sculpt is kind of new. That's a repaint, and there's kind of a slit up here, right in here. I'll zoom in real quick. Alright guys, now I'm really hoping you're able to see this, but it's kind of a new mold in here, and right here, it's kind of like they took his faceplate and put a black line in there, or scratched some paint off, kind of make it look like his mouth almost. Which is alright, but it kind of makes him look like a turtle or something. I don't know. But like I said, all the same articulation, and the head is kind of smaller here. He's got an Autobot symbol now here. We were supposed to get that with this guy, but I'm pretty sure Repro Labels has something you can do for that if you wanted to pick that up. But anyways, nothing too impressive. He's got the wingspan back here from the alt mode. Nothing here. He still has the windows. The windows are a little bit darker. The whole figure is just remolded in cheaper plastic. I don't mind the way he looks. It doesn't look terribly bad. I think he looks a lot better than B and Soundwave. Especially Soundwave is the worst out of the three I picked up so far. I cannot believe how terrible that one turned out. I thought Soundwave was going to be so much better. But again, cheap plastic. This arm pops off so easy. So easy. I don't know. It's the same kind of joint. Just the plastic on here is cheaper. And no matter what I do, that arm pops off very simply every single time. So let's get Wheeljack out of here. And we'll bring in his weapon here. Again, he can hold it in his hand. But you're not really going to be able to launch it without pulling out. See, the arm popped off once again. But you're not going to be able to launch it without pulling this portion out. Which, in that case, you can't really put it in his arm because now it's going to get in the way. So, you can take that off. And now I'm just going to leave the forearm off because it keeps falling off. You can open this up. Just like on the packaging, you can pop this in his hand. Really tough to get that on. And you come over here. There we go. Pop that one on. Come over here. And you can tab this in. And then once you get that all configured out, I don't know if that forearm issue is just the thing with mine, but it seems all these Beast Hunter figures have so far been really cheap plastic and just don't want to stay together all too well. But now once you get him in his hand, you can pose him like that. It does weigh down, but you have to manage it just right just to get it in there. And of course you come back here, and his wings you can just lift up and down like that. I think they look cool with being out like that. And this is a figure I actually kind of like the look of it. I don't like the figure itself. I think the plastic is just too cheap. It doesn't hold up. It just doesn't stay together. Like, look, he's already leaning forward and the legs are already splitting. All the articulation is exactly the same as the RID one. It just doesn't hold up to the reputation of the actual figure. This is just not going to be something very promising for Transformer fans. But like I said, guys, if you want to deploy this weapon, you're going to have to push this handle into the gun, and it'll fire like that, and it just, the arm comes off again. This is the one figure out of all of them I really thought was just really going to amaze me, and it just didn't do it. So, again, just like Soundwave and Bumblebee, guys, this guy's going to have to be user preference because I actually think this Cybertronian kind of look he's got going is kind of badass, even though I like the original Prime series mold. Whether you should pick him up or not, that's really going to be up to you. I personally am undecided whether I'm going to keep this figure or not. But once again, guys, stay tuned for more giveaways. Stay tuned for more reviews of your favorite Transformers. And once again, this is Mr. TF Prime, and I want to thank you for watching.